Hey guys, good morning again. Coach Fickle has joined us. We'll let him get us started with a statement, then we'll go to questions. Coach, go right ahead.
There you go. All right. Obviously, finally game week. Our guys are excited. It's great to be back. We actually took a quick break there for Christmas, had the opportunity to. Not many guys got a chance to maybe go home, but we got enough local guys that it's kind of a balance between being really smart and what you can do. But it is an opportunity for us. Some of us had them over at our houses. So nonetheless, we're back at it. Really excited to get down to Atlanta and for the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl on the 1st. And we believe this is the best team that we have faced and played since I've been here at the University of Cincinnati. And that's no disrespect to, obviously we played Ohio State last year. It was early in the season. I think even, they weren't quite maybe what they were by the end of the year. But just all in all, from what I've told our team, from what I've watched and what I've seen, this is a really, really good football team that I know we got to be at our best and play at our best.
All right, thank you. We'll start with questions. Justin Williams from The Athletic, you're up first.
Coach, generally having the bowl game is some time to do some extra practices and development of young players. Does that get completely thrown out this year? Is it just treated almost like a normal game week because of the compressed different schedule?
Well, you say extra practices. You're right. Usually, you have a bowl game and you find somewhere somehow to get the 12 to 13 practices in, maybe even 14 for a bowl game based on when it is. And not all those are obviously in game prep. I think we've had about 145 or so practices for this season, which is far more than any season I've ever been associated with. If you go all the way back to the beginning where you had some OTAs and things. So I don't really believe it wasn't an opportunity. It wasn't the time to kind of get a lot of that work for young guys. 12 days when we found out when we were playing and where we were playing and who we were playing. So really we kind of had to find a way to just kind of lock ourselves in. Didn't take a whole lot of time developing some of those young guys. But as the season goes along, those young guys aren't young guys anymore, and you got a far greater expectation for them. And a lot of those guys are going to, maybe didn't play early in the year, maybe didn't play in the middle of the year. They're going to have vital roles as we go into this Peach Bowl. So it's not even just the development of them in this bowl, practice. It was development of them over the whole time of the 140 some practices we've had for 9 games.
We'll go next to Chad Brendel.
Coach, how much have you been able to kind of refine that rhythm that maybe you lost with a month off in getting in the AAC title game and then getting, as you mentioned, straight into kind of doing Peach Bowl practice stuff as opposed to the developmental stuff?
You want to explain what you mean by that rhythm that we lost? I'm not sure. You don't mean like 10 false starts and I mean, how, to the naked eye, I didn't know that you guys would notice the rhythm that was probably not as there as much or.
Pretty trained eye.
Pretty good. Yeah, you are.
Pretty trained eye.
That's pretty well done there. It's difficult. I'm not going to lie to you. When the emotions start to roll, a lot of things happen. And I can tell you this, that we're excited to have 18 or 17,000 fans or whatever is going to be in the 25%. The emotions are going to roll. There's no way we can simulate that. There's no way we can take a true freshman center and kind of add that much more, I don't say pressure, but anxiety on top of them, along with, maybe a couple All-Americans across from him. It's going to have to be something we learn from. And it's not like you could say, hey, we got back into a rhythm. We went and scrimmaged and did this, and this before the bowl game. Mature people and mature teams and pros, guys that love the game and study the game, work the game, learn from those mistakes. And I really hope as coaches we've learned from those, and as players we've learned from those. And we'll be tested and we'll see and we'll find out. But I can't tell you that we know exactly, and there's not some magic that we went and did to say, hey, we're gonna eliminate all those mistakes and we're gonna be right back in rhythm.
Charlie Goldsmith, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of development from Desmond Ridder over the past 3 seasons and over the course of this season. Can you just describe where he's at now in terms of his growth and progression as a quarterback?
I think he obviously leaps and bounds from where he was as a freshman. I think he's a heck of a lot further than where he was from last year. And some would say earlier in the year he wasn't there. I still tend to disagree with them. I think he has really, really continued to develop. I think that it's a unique situation. When you've got a lot of different and new wide receivers, there's as much there as there is the quarterback position. But I think all in all, you've been able to watch and see his development because he's been playing since a freshman. And as he starts to look at some of these other things with NFL and different things like that, the great opportunity that he's had is to be able to play for 3 years. The difficult thing is everybody's been able to see the issues that he's had and how he's had to mature past a lot of that because he has been playing for 3 years. So I think it's easier for us to watch and see that growth and development. I still think that the ceiling is incredibly high. I still think that there's another level that he will be at. And I hope it's now, and I hope it's, in this game. But the thing is, he's a worker. He's a pro. He's a student of the game. He loves what he does. He has a mind for perfection, and he's never going to stop. So he has developed a long way, and I think he's still not saying he's got to go much further, but I still think with what his true high end ability is, I think he's still got a lot more in him.
Mark Weiser, go ahead with your question.
Coach, I want to ask where you guys are COVID-wise in terms of missing guys, and also have you had any opt-outs?
I don't think we're answering a whole lot of COVID questions. That's kind of for the medical staff. All year we've kind of been, hey, this is, those guys kind of communicate about that and talk about that. I can tell you that we're in a good place. We have not had any opt-outs. We obviously had some early in the year, when camp started, very minimal. So we were in a good place with all of those things, but it's still early. You say that, and then you start trying to find something to knock on and different things like that, because it's one of those things you just cannot relax on. So we're continuing to do what we do. We're going to, I think, basically be testing every single day, and still asking our guys to make sacrifices. And you just never know. One bad day can lead to a lot of different things. And so you try to have that balance. We're keeping them. I'm not saying we're quarantining. I'm not saying we're keeping them in a bubble, but we're keeping them as occupied as we possibly can to keep them around just this group of people as much as we can.
Thank you.
Bill Dennison, if you're on, you can go with your question.
Coach, can you give us a detailed scouting report on the Bulldogs offense and also the defense? Thank you.
They're good, and they're good. They've got some really good players. I mean, I don't know that we're going to have the length of this. I don't think it's hard to pop on and see. I really do believe offensively they've settled in with the quarterback that has, to me, made them and looked at them with rhythm-wise, in my mind, a lot better, more solid. Not that they weren't solid at the beginning of the year. I think that they still were trying to figure out and find out who they were, what the quarterback was going to be able to do really, really well, coupled with playing great defense. And, I think that you've seen that maturity, you've seen that ability for them to mature and develop throughout that season, kind of settle into who they are as an offense. And I think they're playing a lot better here, even here the last 3-4 games than maybe what you'd seen in rhythm-wise early on.
Anthony Dasher, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Coach, kind of follow up on that. What has been different about the Georgia offense since JT Daniels took over? And who did he remind you of as a quarterback?
Well, you hate doing comparisons to say exactly who they remind you of. I think he's still it's hard to see all that he does. I know he can make every throw. I know he can spin it. He's got some great weapons. I still don't think he's unleashed all he can do. I mean, when you run the ball and you got as good an offensive line as they have, you don't have to kind of sit your quarterback back there and do all those different things. So I can see where they're probably slowing the maturation to say, hey, let's don't give him everything. We might get away from some of the things we do really well, just because he throws it so well and has such a touch. You don't want to lose the nastiness and the toughness that those guys up front bring and their ability to run the football. So I just think when you watch games, you just see a rhythm of more consistency to knowing what he can do, and as they continue to grow. Again, I'm not saying you're worried, but you're curious to see with 12 days that next step, that what will they give him to do to make that offense even more dynamic. But he is, you can tell he's the future to what they're doing.
Jason Stam, go ahead with your question, please.
Coach, I just was curious as far as what do you do as a coach to kind of keep your guys a little refreshed? I mean, it's been a grind of the season, I know, and there's a reason why all these teams have opted out already. But what do you do as a coach at this point to keep everybody, keep their mindset focused and keep them fresh mentally and physically, I guess?
We've had a couple meetings on that. I've been racking my brain. It's nice when you have a bowl game because you do get a little bit of a change. You go to a bowl site, and for us, you kind of run out there, even if it's Birmingham like last year, and maybe you go out and you practice on some grass, and you got a new practice site and some different food and some different things. And the uniqueness of this year is we're going to be coming to the same place, the same locker room. We're going to make the same walk out to our bubble, and so it's very difficult to kind of spice it up. It's very difficult to change the look to some of the guys. It's much more into the challenge of trying to get inside their heads and really, more than anything than getting out of what it is that you do, trying to really work on the mindset to say that we understand, I understand it. It's no different for a coach. I don't care if you're 45 years old or 19 years old. It's still, the monotony of what we've started a long time ago, but you can't allow yourself to do that. And there's not a whole lot of ways for us. I don't know. Maybe Georgia has had better ways, maybe with better weather they've gone. I don't know. But for us, it's been more just trying to rely upon the relationships these guys have, the dedication they've had, and really try to challenge them more mentally than anything.
Justin Williams, go ahead with question.
Coach, you talked the past couple of years about how the bowl game is kind of a reward for the season that you had. This season's a little bit different. Obviously, you win the conference championship. It's a higher profile bowl. Is that still the same? Do you still view it that way, or is it now different considering some of the circumstances?
No, it's a reward. There's no doubt. I mean, we had a meeting yesterday. We said, there's 100 guys sitting in this room, and I can tell you there's probably about 120 teams that would trade places with you. To have an opportunity to play in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, to play on January 1, to play against, the Georgia Bulldogs, who's a historic, obviously blue blood team that's, one of the greatest traditions in the country. How many people wouldn't trade places with you? So it is that. And, but it's hard. It's hard to recognize that sometimes as an 18 to 22-year-old, even as a coach, when you're still in the same grind, the same monotony, the same looks. So the questions go hand in hand to say, how do you try to change it up? How do you, other than just saying that this is a reward, how do you make it a reward? Well, if you love the game, you love to play the game, you love to compete, and you love to challenge yourself, what greater reward do you need than to play against an incredible opponent? So I think there's different kinds of rewards. Some people would look for a reward as, hey, if you get to, take a trip and go to Disney and then go play a game, that's a reward, and get to relax. And it's a different reward. If you're a competitor and you love the game and you want to compete, the reward is an opportunity to play on a big stage against a great opponent.
Anthony Patterson, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Coach. This question is you kind of answered a little bit just then, but of course you're in the Peach Bowl, one of the premier bowls in the nation, playing against an SEC team in a city that hosts the SEC championship and has a lot of SEC fans. Just from your perspective, and maybe from your players' perspective, how do you embrace the challenge or the idea of playing in the game like this, where you guys are basically kind of like the underdogs in a way, and coming into a crazy environment even through COVID?
Yeah, no, we are definitely the visitors, and I think that that's a part of embracing what the challenge is. I mean, like they said, this is a reward. Well, a reward is, oh my gosh, you got to go play against one of the best teams in the country in their home and their land. Yeah, that's that. If you're a competitor, if you love to challenge yourself, it is a reward, and I think you got to look at it like that. I know this, that, and I don't want to speak for the players, but I got a good idea of, who they are and what they enjoy. This year, like for everybody, has been a challenge and difficult and different. It's nothing more than a reward to say, hey, we're going to go and play in front of 18,000 people where there is going to be an atmosphere. Maybe they're booing us, maybe they're cheering against us, whatever it is, but there will be a greater atmosphere, which gives us that much more excitement and joy. to go out and compete. So I think it's a unique year. I think there's a balance to all that, but the opportunity to play on the stage against who you're going to play against, whether they're cheering for you or not, an environment and an atmosphere is something that a lot of us have missed this entire football season. Maybe the South and the SEC has gotten a little bit more of the atmospheres when you pop on those games. Even on TV, you can feel it and see it with 25%. More up north, we have not had the opportunity to even get some of those atmospheres this year, whether they're positive or they're for you or against you. So I think all those things added together, I think, is another way just to kind of get yourself motivated.
Coach.
Charlie Goldsmith, go ahead with your question.
Kind of on the same topic, we've had whole teams opt out of bowl games, and for you guys to not have a single player opt out, what does that say about the excitement and anticipation of playing in the Peach Bowl?
Well, I think that they know that it's a reward. They know what they've sacrificed for, and they want to finish. I mean, we've always said it. It's not about how you start, it's how you finish. And that's easier to say, when things don't go well at the beginning of the year. But things have gone well all year. We've done a really good job, but we understand it's about finishing. And whether we started this thing in camp, a long time ago, and it's been an up and down season. I don't mean up and down with win. I just mean an emotional roller coaster. They still had their eye on that end prize and say, hey, how are we going to finish? And that's why we'll be remembered.
Mike Griffith, go ahead with your question.
Good morning, Coach. Hey, I want to ask you about a couple of Georgia guys. I'll just throw the numbers out there. Number 1 on offense and number 99 on defense. How much are these guys, marked up in the game plan, game changer kind of figures, and your evaluation of them?
Well, I appreciate you using numbers because I got 6 kids at home and sometimes I can't remember their names. So but I remember numbers, and they're definitely ones that you're starred, and know where they're going to be. There's no doubt. Sometimes just one on offense is not, there's 10, there's 7, there's 3. Sometimes when you see a bunch of other guys, it's harder to even say you're going to have to focus on one. But there's no doubt. You know where those guys are. 99 obviously is a big deal. And, I don't know, that's probably the one thing in our league and in this year that we probably haven't faced. We face really good football teams, good speed, good talent, all the different things, but sometimes you don't quite see those guys up front that are that big of difference makers. And that's why even for our guys up front, it's an incredible challenge for them, that they get to play against us. How else are you going to measure yourself to see where you are? It's not about winning every battle. It's about winning the war. And, when you're playing against guys like that there's going to be battles that you're going to lose here and there. But hoping you understand the 60, 70, 80 play game that you got to win the war and you got to keep battling, keep fighting, in some ways wear people down.
Question, just kind of follow up there. Your history as an athlete and a wrestler is pretty well known. How close did you ever come to losing? Can you remember the match?
To losing? I remember every match I lost. I lost I just forgot. I lost 4 as a freshman, and I could probably walk you through every single one. And then I lost 1 after that. It was the one college match, and I could walk you through that. No, I can't. After 3.5 minutes, I can't remember anything because I'm so completely worn out that I don't remember a whole lot after that. But I don't know what that has to do with it. I just know that no matter what, you got to challenge yourself against great competition, and you're not going to just go out there and think that you're not going to get punched in the mouth and have some ups and downs, and you got to be able to fight through it.
We'll take our final question for Coach from Mark Weiser. Go ahead with your question.
Actually, if I did raise my hand, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh, okay. Any final questions for Coach? We're just about out of time. Chad Brindle, go ahead. Close us out.
Coach, what mentality have you sensed from your seniors and, wanting to put themselves on this stage and challenge themselves against the talent that you've talked about at Georgia? Because those guys have been your driving force all year.
Are you saying what seniors?
Just the seniors in general, like how have they taken to this challenge of, testing themselves and
I don't know that's any different from a senior to a freshman, to be honest with you. Obviously the seniors are the leaders of our team. They're the guys that, basically I'm not saying we all play for just that, but they're the guys that we talk about. Those are the guys that are the examples of a lot of things we do. But I think it's nothing greater than to see what you've got from the freshmen to the seniors, to see what sometimes even the young guys are more motivated. The hard thing for some of these older guys and senior guys is, that they start to think about the end. And sometimes they get distracted from just what's really in front of them is the opportunity to compete against the very best. So that's what you continue to remind them. They want to play. They want to get to the game. It's been a long year. They want to get to Friday, whenever the game is. But I think trying to see what that whole group and every one of them have deep down inside. I think that's how we're going to measure who we are and what we really want and where this program's going. So I know it's big for the seniors. I think the thing for the seniors is really trying to stay focused. I'm sure it's no different for the Georgia seniors, to stay focused about not worrying about, what comes after this, whether it could be the end of playing in some situations or, what the next journey is going to bring. It's really trying to focus in and saying, hey, this is an opportunity for us to compete at the highest level and to show what we're made of.
All right, thank you, Coach. That's all. We'll lead off with let Coach Denbrock make a statement, then we'll move into questions. Remember to
Good.
Go ahead, Coach.
No, I was just going to good morning, everybody, and appreciate the opportunity to speak on behalf of the offensive side of the ball for the Bearcats, and we're really excited about the opportunity to play in this game. The players have worked their tails off since early August and even July to kind of put themselves in this opportunity. It's obviously a reward for a very good, hard-fought season to put themselves in this position. We're awful proud of them. We're awful proud of the progress that we've made offensively, and we're hoping to get our opportunity to show what we're capable of doing when we get an opportunity to go against what we feel like is by far the most talented and deepest defense we've faced this season, and look forward to watching Desmond and a bunch of the other guys have a big day on Friday.
All right, guys, we'll go ahead with questions. Please identify who your question is for. Justin Williams from The Athletic, you can lead us off.
Coach, you just kind of mentioned it, but looking at their defense on film, there's a lot of talk about difference in recruiting rankings or things like that. Is there a immediate talent or size speed difference that jumps out based on who you guys have faced so far this year?
Well, there's an immediate everything that you mentioned. Big physical football players that can run, tackle very well in space, contest everything, really, really aggressive with their scheme and what they do. And then on top of that, they're incredible with how multiple they are and the different looks that they give you and the different things that you have to prepare for. It would probably bode well for us if we had another 30-day layoff just to get ready for a lot of the things that they do and how they do it. But it's a great challenge, obviously, to match up in any way against this group. But we're going to do the best we can when we get our opportunity.
Chad Brendel, go ahead with your question.
Coach, what have you seen from your guys so far in these couple practices that you've been able to get in that leads you to game planning this Georgia defense and trying to solve the Rubik's Cube that is a team that does so many things well?
Yeah, I think the first thing is that we're excited to be in this game and excited to have the opportunity to play it. And with all the uncertainty of this season, I don't think any of us knew where it was going to end or how what opportunities were going to be available to us as a football team. And then to have this incredible opportunity to play against what I would consider a blue blood program and somebody that year in and year out does it as good as anybody does it in college football. To take our football team down there and have an opportunity to play against them and use it as a growing tool and use it as a measuring stick and use it as a way for us to put our program on display is something that's very exciting, I think, to the players and everybody in our program.
Charlie Goldsmith, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Desmond, I kind of have a bigger picture question here. Kind of take yourself back. What led you to become a quarterback? And I guess how in general did you start at that position?
I would definitely say it started when I was younger. I played a lot of sports growing up. Baseball was one of them. So, I was always out in the backyard, tossing either football or baseball. And then, really what ultimately got me into football was one of my best friends was playing. and my dad had convinced me to play. So then once I got there, I was just pre-practice, just throwing around the football, and they were like, "Hey, you play baseball?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they was like, "Okay, well, let's put a football in your hands," and that's about it.
Mike Griffin, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, Desmond. I know you can't really do a lot till you get out there and make pre-snap reads and all that. But as far as watching Georgia on film, what are some things that jump out at you about this defense?
Like Coach said, they're big, they're fast, they're strong, physical, and they're smart. They're lengthy on the outsides and they play smart ball. If they make a mistake, they're going to be able to cover like anyone else and make up ground. They're big up front. They like to win. Their backers are smart, physical players. They like to fill gaps. But we're going to go out and play football.
Justin Williams, go ahead with question.
Des, there's been a lot of talk about kind of that SMU game and how the offense really seemed to jumpstart after that. What do you feel was your best game individual performance so far this season, and why?
I would definitely say either, SMU or Memphis, just from an execution standpoint. One of the main things we pride on offense is just executing and finishing plays and finishing drives and finishing games. And that was one thing that we did, I felt like, from start to finish, was finish the drive and finish the game.
Anthony Dasher, go ahead with the question, sir.
Hey, Coach. In what way does Georgia getting number 99 back impact the game from your perspective?
I mean, he's a huge disruptive force, and he's not the only one, but he's certainly the way he goes about his business. He's great with his hands. He's good at getting off double teams and splitting double teams and making it very hard on what you're trying to accomplish, just because he's so disruptive in what they're doing in their scheme.
Thank you.
Jason Stam, go ahead with your question.
Desmond, it was asked of Coach Fickle earlier about, a lot of teams have had opt-outs individually, or there's been whole teams that have opted out, and you guys have been able to hold together all year, or at least during the season, and not have any opt-outs. Just from a player's perspective, what has that been like, or what does that say for you guys as a group to stay together, and what has that been? I don't know. I mean, I guess what have the talks been like as far as, everybody being able to stay together to this point?
It's been a crazy year with COVID and everything. And, COVID's really, the only other reason that people would opt out, other than declaring for a draft. So it's something we haven't seen in previous years. But, it just really shows our true culture of a team, how we can stay together as a team, what we've worked for. And we know that we want to achieve one goal, and we're going to need everyone to do that. So, everyone's staying together, being one team. It's what Coach Fig has preached since he's got here, and what he's continued to preach till he leaves.
Charlie Goldsmith, go ahead with your question.
Probably too soon for this, but Desmond, have you put any thought into what your plans are after this season, draft-wise or otherwise, or is it too soon for that?
Too soon.
Justin Williams, go ahead with your question.
Des, if you just look at from last year, like losing Mike, losing Josiah, two of definitely the biggest pieces on offense, who do you feel like, you guys numbers-wise have played even beyond that? So who do you feel like has stepped up this year to allow you guys to become such a complete team on the offensive side?
I think everyone all around the ball. It starts with the five guys up front. We've had a shuffle up front, going with guys that almost, one just has started one game with James Hudson at left tackle, and then Harper got some time last year at right tackle. But the three in the middle, other than Vincent McConnell, they haven't really got much snaps over time. But they've been playing really well for us. Haven't allowed very many pressures, very many sacks, so they're stepping up big time. Then you got guys like Josh Wiley and Leonard Taylor and Bruno LaBelle, who step up and make big plays for us, fill the gaps and catch balls. And then everyone outside, Michael Young, Alec Pierce, all those guys step up big for us. And then we can give the ball off to Jerome Ford or Jared Dokes and let them go make carries. So it really is a team effort, and everyone around us makes plays.
Mark Weiser, go ahead with your question.
Coach, given your background at Notre Dame, I'm curious about your perspective of them getting in the playoff and you guys not as an undefeated team.
I'll leave that to that's a Coach Fickle question. I'll leave that to Coach Fickle and some of the other powers that be in college football. I'm just trying to get ready to face an incredible opponent on Friday.
Okay, thank you.
Anthony Dasher, go ahead with your question, sir.
Yeah. Hey, Desmond, when you're preparing for a team, watching a defense for the first time, what are the first things you look for?
Size, speed. Look at their DBs. See how they cover. See how they play against press. How they play off. Just tendencies. And just see how they fly to the ball. See what type of team they are. See if they're going to go from whistle to whistle, as coach likes to say, 4 to 6, A to B. See how fast they fly around the ball. Because whatever you see on film, you're probably going to get something different on either Friday or Saturdays. Not just from the actual play of their game, but just how physical they actually play. So that would be one thing.
And what jumps out about Georgia immediately when you see that?
That they're just big and fast and strong. We're going up against so-called, one of the big guys in the country, and we're going to see and feel that unlike we have all this season.
Thank you, man.
Mike Griffith, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, Coach, I just want to ask you a little bit about Dan Lanning and Kirby, just as far as, I know you guys have talked about Georgia's physique and speed and hitting ability, things like that, but just in terms of what they like to do scheme-wise, I know they are multiple and can do a lot of things, but as far as things you're going to get from Georgia, what would you put on that list?
Yeah, I think number one, they do a really incredible job of trying to scheme you and take away what you do well. And, their goal is to eliminate that from your, what you have on your menu to do. And so they're going to start there. Whatever tendencies you have offensively, whatever things that maybe you've used a little too much or done a little too much, they're going to make sure they've got answers for them, and not just one answer, but they're going to have answers to your answers. So this is a game going against, those two great coaches in particular, and Coach Smart, obviously from his well-chronicled history of being a great defensive coordinator and running great defenses. We've got to have just as many answers as they've got to what we're doing, and we've got to have just as many adjustments to kind of tweak our game plan as the game's going along. When they make a chess move, we've got to be able to make a chess move. When they do something to take something away, we've got to do the best that we can to exploit what they're trying to take away, and maybe go the other way or whatever it happens to be. So answers to their answers is a huge piece of it. The game is going to flow. We're going to have to adjust. We know that going in, and just having a plan for if they do take some of the things that we're really good at doing away from us, what do we do then? And that's what I'm spending. You can tell by the bags under my eyes. That's what I'm spending most of my days and nights trying to make sure that we've got answers for what they're doing.
And how much of a bonus is it to have a guy like Desmond? I got to think, sometimes when plan A doesn't work, he looks like a pretty good plan B with that mobility and his skills.
It's a huge piece of it for us. Obviously, Des has made incredible plays for us all year, whether that's with his arm or with his legs. Getting out of the pocket and being able to make some plays at the quarterback position, being mobile, I think is a big piece of the puzzle against this defense. I think it's got to be part of, keeping the football and moving the football and being effective. So he's obviously, everything that we do offensively runs through Des. He knows that. And, I think we've got to just make sure that we're doing a good job, not only of using him when we need to, but we've also got to protect him and give him an opportunity to make some plays down the field with his arm.
Charles Odom, go ahead with your question, sir.
For Desmond, when you think about making it through a season with COVID, what's been the biggest adjustment? What is it the testing that you guys have had to do? Is it something else?
The testing, that's almost every day. So that kind of gets into a routine, a little bit of a habit. But honestly, I'd say the biggest thing with us is, doing that socially distant. We talk about being a team and being as one. And part of that is, you know, just the locker room and the brotherhood that you create within the locker room. Unfortunately, with COVID, we're not able to have everyone in the locker room. You know, all 121 guys all packed up in a big space. You know, sharing those times together that you would in the locker room. But instead, we have at least 4 to 5 different locker rooms where guys are spread out in that we've been doing all season to keep everyone socially distant. So we really just, you know, I don't want to say we've lost our brotherhood, but it definitely makes it tougher for us to, you know, become, you know, true brothers and, you know, just learn everyone from inside out.
Chad Brown will go with your question.
Des, Georgia is always seen as one of the top defensive units in the country. You've talked about why with their size and speed and athleticism. How much of it do you guys look at it as a personal challenge to put yourself up against, you know, one of the best defenses in the country?
I would say a huge challenge. You know, they talk about us as, you know, big guys versus little guys. So, you know, we're always out to prove everyone wrong. You know, we go out and play with a chip on our shoulder every game. And that won't change this game. But, you know, we're going to go out and play football. It doesn't matter who it's against, where it's at, but once the ball's down, we're going to go play.
Justin Williams, go ahead with your question.
Coach, I know you have no impact on kind of what the broader discussion or, you know, talk is about your team, but there's always talk about more complete teams. That kind of seems to be what catches people out, whether you're talking committee rankings or anything like that. How do you feel the success Desmond and you guys as an offense have had this season has impacted the broader national perspective on Cincinnati football?
Well, I hope it you know, enhances the discussion about our football program, and I think it has to a certain extent. You know, I think there's much work to be done, but I love the improvements that we've made on the offensive side of the ball. And, you know, I feel like we're much more of a complete football team than we've been the past couple years. We've got the ability to throw the ball effectively. We can run it effectively. We can be multiple in what we do offensively. That's obviously kickstarted with the work that the guys have done up front and being able to more than hold their own at the line of scrimmage. And it extends through, you know, the changes that we've made in the wide receiver room and the development of other players along our offensive unit, and opportunities have come along and guys have taken advantage of them. And nobody's a greater example of that than Desmond Ridder. And you know, we're just excited for our chance.
All right, guys, that's all the time we have for this group. We'll get rotated around and get Josh Wiley. You guys want to get in the queue for questions? Go right ahead. Chad Brendel, why don't you lead us off?
Jared, how's the ankle doing first, or leg doing first off? And, how frustrating was that to not get to participate, I'm sure, like you wanted to in the second half of the Tulsa game, seeing your team win a championship?
It's doing good right now, you know, doing everything I can just to get it back healthy. And then, you know, in the game, of course, it was frustrating, you know, championship game, but at the end of the day, I know we got a room full of running backs that's capable of taking over the game, you know, and getting the job done. So, you know, I can do everything I can.
Charlie Goldsmith, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I guess I'll ask this to Josh. You know, no opt-outs on the Bearcats for the bowl game. You know, what does that say about the level of anticipation you guys have for this opportunity?
I think it just means everybody wants to be involved. I mean, this is a great opportunity as a team, and I just think everybody wants to be a part of it.
Justin Williams, go ahead with your question.
Jared, obviously, you know, big part of this season was you kind of being the main running back, but it seems like you haven't lost the desire to do little things, whether it's, you know, receiving, picking up blitz, blocking for Des out in front, or you've even played on punt, you know, special teams coverage so far this season. Why was that such an important thing for you, even as the starting running back coming in this year?
You know, being a part of a program like this, you want to be able to do everything you can to get to where we are now. You know, and the little things like that, like if you notice, most of our starters play special teams, you know, so small things like that it results in, good results, which is why we're undefeated, So just being able to do everything I can, just puts us in a good position.
Chad Brendel, go ahead.
Josh, how exciting is the opportunity to get to play against Georgia defense that's seen as one of the best in the country and kind of get to prove yourself against a higher level of competition?
I mean, it means a lot. Just being able to have this chance in the Peach Bowl against a great team, in a great atmosphere. I mean, it's really exciting. It's exciting for this team. We've been so close the past couple of years. Just being able to be here is going to be really a dream come true. And I mean, I know we're all excited here. We're all preparing. And we're just excited to get down there and be ready for that kickoff at noon.
Charlie Goldsmith, go ahead with your question.
Jared, you guys have a 6'4", 215-pound quarterback. Obviously, he's been having a good season. Can you just describe how Desmond's able to, I guess, use that size and strength and arm strength so well?
Yeah, Des, great athlete. When we find ourselves in positions where we're kind of struggling, he's always there. He uses his skill. He got speed. He can throw. He helps us get out of the binds that kind of we struggle in sometimes. But he also brings that energy, that picks up everybody else's game as the game goes on.
Justin Williams, go ahead.
Josh, you were highly recruited coming out of high school. You could have played a lot of different places. Obviously, you chose to stay home. There's a few other guys, on this team that also could have played just about anywhere. A lot of the talk, I guess, on the outside about this game has been, Georgia highly touted recruiting classes, 4 and 5 stars going against you guys. Is that in the back of your mind that, you could have played at that level or played at bigger schools, but you decided to play here? Are you going to be, thinking about that as you head into this game?
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, every guy puts on their pants the same way. I mean, we're all just X's and O's on the board. It's going to come down to Coach Fick hit on it in the meeting on, Sunday. It's going to come down to preparation, toughness, and competitive spirit. And I think the team that has that is going to really show out.
Jason Stam, go ahead with your question.
Jared, I mean, I think you guys have both said, and Des, Coach Fick, everybody's talked about, what a great opportunity this is. But, at this point in the season, it's just, I know it's been such a grind with COVID tests and just the regular grind anyway. Like, what have you done? I don't know if you can speak to any of the other players. What have you guys done to stay mentally, physically, not only physically, but also mentally sharp at this point?
At the end of the day, it's all about just being disciplined and realizing what's at stake. With such a good season we had going on, it'd be a bummer to just see everything fall apart with people popping up with COVID tests and stuff, So, it all came down to just being disciplined, doing the right things outside, hanging around the right people, which we usually just around each other. So, as long as we did things like that, we knew we was going to be in a good position.
Yeah, Brendel, go ahead.
Jared, you've been through a lot, 5 seasons, a couple rough years, and some years where you guys got close but couldn't get over the hump. How fun, how magical has this ride been to see, a lot of those dreams that you guys have had on the board over the past couple of years come true and accomplish what you guys have been able to accomplish?
Oh, man, it's been great. When I first got here, things was real rough. Nobody really bought in. We were just here playing football. Fick came, changed the whole culture around here. Things just been going, it's what every college football player would want their career to be like, just being able to win games with their brothers, win championships. That's what we're doing. So it feels good.
Mark Weiser, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Josh, getting back to your recruiting, I think I saw that Georgia was one of your offers. It's listed on your bio. What do you remember about any involvement you had with them during the recruiting process?
To be honest with you, I don't remember much at all. I committed to Cincinnati pretty early, and other than that, I didn't get involved with.
Justin Williams, go ahead.
Josh, you and Lenny have had some opportunities this year to kind of step up and just show what you're capable of. But can you tell us about Bruno and his impact on the offense, not just on the field, but I guess also as a team leader off the field and kind of behind the scenes this year?
Absolutely. I mean, Bruno is that great example of a senior leader. He's one of the play hard guys in our program, and just being able to play behind him is a great. I mean, it's awesome. It's a great opportunity to get to learn the game better, and yeah, I mean, I think he kind of took things away from Josiah DeGuara, and I mean, it's just like the ripple effect. Things just keep coming down, and it's really awesome. And there's just great, healthy competition within our position group, so it's a great learning experience.
JT Smith, go ahead with your question. You got to unmute yourself first, Cowboy.
My bad, guys. This question is for Jared. Don't shake your head at me, Chad. But just to piggyback off Chad's question, 5 years ago, did you see yourself being at this stage in your career in your last game?
5 years ago, how things was going in, nah, I didn't at all. But, coaching changes, culture changes, things like everything just changed. So, we're at where we're at. I'm grateful for it.
Like, how rewarding is it to be in this spot? Just looking back after 5 years.
Hard work pays off, man. That's all I can really say.
Appreciate you.
Chad Brendel, go ahead.
Josh, there's, especially throughout this year, been a lot of talk about Cincinnati being, a place that produces a lot of tight ends, quality tight ends. Do you ever watch like Travis on Sundays and think like I'm part of that legacy and I've got a lot to live up to with maybe the best tight end in the world, being a guy that's a Cincinnati guy too?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something to think about, especially because me and Kelsey have a similar play style. It was just a great opportunity with Josiah here. I mean, to be able to experience that, that's not something many people can say they had. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely an expectation and a standard in the tight end room, and we're just all trying to live up to it.
What's it been like interacting with Travis when he's been around? Have you been able to pick his brain any?
No, I haven't talked to him at all. I mean, I haven't met him yet.
Good time for one more question. We'll go to Chip Towers. Close us out, sir.
Yeah, to both players, if you don't mind. Everybody's talked about how things changed with Coach Fick. If you could put your finger on one thing, I mean, what would you say that he brought that was just different and better?
I say that like the competitive spirit around here, they kind of dug the will to compete out of everybody out here. When they first got here, we went through intensive training, and I've never seen so many people realize that they didn't really want to be here, So like doing things like that kind of got the culture put in place of who we are and what we're going to be. And now I think that's why we are who we are now.
Well, it's I mean, the core principles, I mean, effort and attitude and competitive spirit and unit strength, those are things he hits on every day. And then I think it comes to the senior leaders on this team. I mean, guys like Jared, Desmond, all those guys. I mean, they lead the way for us young guys. And I mean, it takes discipline and maturity from us to really buy in. But I think Coach Fick believing in that and instilling that in us is really what changed this program around.
Thank you.
Hey guys, thanks for your time, Josh and Jay. Here we go. Joined by punter James Smith and wide receiver Michael Young Jr. Same as before, raise your hands to get in the queue and identify who you're asking the question to. Chad Brendel, why don't you lead us off?
James, you made a heck of a leap coming halfway across the world to a program that was struggling at the time. What has this experience kind of all been like for you? And I know you've had a great career, but seeing it kind of culminate with an AAC championship and a chance to play in the Peach Bowl against Georgia for a guy that I'm guessing didn't know a lot about the college football world when you showed up here 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's definitely fair to say that I knew pretty much not a lot about college football, but sort of from day one during the recruiting process, like Coach Mason, Coach Fick were pretty adamant that this program was going to be on the turnaround, and their goal was to change this program back to the highest of highs that it had been. And that was definitely something that I wanted to get on board with. And then just the opportunities and belief that they had in me, not only in like playing ability, but in forms of a leadership role, like being a guy that's a little bit older, just to get around the team and try to push the team in the direction that we wanted to go. It was definitely something that has been very like fortunate for myself, because I've developed more so as a player and a leader than I probably have like in terms of on-field success. So just that drive from within to like create more leaders and produce not only on the field but in the locker room as well is just it's just been a phenomenal experience.
Justin Williams, go ahead.
Michael, obviously everything with COVID this season has made things weirder than anyone could have anticipated. But when you transferred to come here, the way this season has gone for you individually, but also the team and everything you guys have accomplished, did it meet your expectations? Did it exceed expectations? How do you feel collectively the whole season's gone?
Individually, I mean, the only thing I wanted to come in was, come in and produce, show that I'm capable of helping the team. I think I've done a very good job at that. Obviously, there's room for improvement. There's always room for improvement, but I mean, that just comes with time. As far as the team, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it exceeds my expectation. Like I said, Cincinnati was on my radar before, entering the portal, and obviously they were a winning program, back-to-back 11-win seasons. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, and I knew they were right on the brink of, getting a championship and, a conference that produces a lot of talent and competes with the best. I mean, you see it year in and year out. So for us to come in and win a conference championship, for me, it was amazing. Obviously coming from a team that doesn't, play in a conference. So it was amazing to see that, to be a part of it. But at the same time, it wasn't anything that was just kind of over the top for me that exceeded, because like I said, I knew what this team had. I knew what we were capable of doing. So for me, it was like, okay, now we're finally putting it together.
Chad Brendel, go ahead.
James, at what point in your time at Pro Kick Australia did you realize I might be pretty good at this? And have you exceeded what your expectations were with your performance here over the past 4 years?
Yeah, so I've always been gifted. Like I had a pretty good leg and was like reasonably athletic at most sports that I played back home. So I knew I had like the athleticism and the drive factor to want to be good, but it sort of didn't really come full circle till probably after that end of that 2017 season and towards into that 2018 season, like where I was probably punting and feeling the best that I had been. And then it's been a little bit different the last 2 years. We've had a very good offense, and I've had a lot more situational punts than I did the first 2 years. But at the start, and I probably didn't think that I was going to be able to like potentially go to the next level or would have the capabilities of going to the next level. But that sort of just came with like as the opportunities and the belief from the coaches. And then like you start getting a little bit of recognition, and then people are like, well, he's probably got the ability to go to the next level or make a career out of this if that's what he wanted to do. And then since then, I've probably been taking it very seriously. And that's the dream now, of course. So is to not only like have the success with the team and then potentially move into this as a career option for me.
As a follow-up, how aware are you that you haven't had a chance to run a fake yet? And last game in college, are you looking for that opportunity?
Yeah, well, to be fair, we've had many fakes in for many weeks, and it's all about getting a look to be able to run one. And unfortunately, the one we actually ran against ECU was not called off the sideline. Joel made the check in at the huddle, and unfortunately that week didn't involve me. So I think I lucked out a little bit, but there's always fakes and things that we're looking to do. We're pretty lucky that we've got such an athletic and gifted group on the punt team. And yeah, to be able to do it in the last game would pretty be unreal, but I'm not, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Charlie Goldsmith, go ahead.
Michael, can you describe the advantage it gives you guys when you're playing with the quarterback with the size and the speed and the strength and the arm strength that Desmond Ridder has?
It's pretty easy. He makes our job 10 times easier because Des having the ability to be able to be a threat in the run game and also be a threat in the passing game. It makes our job easier. It just makes it for us. It allows us to go out there and play freely. It allows us to go out there and not think so much because now there's a chances Des is going to make you right. And when you have that at quarterback, it makes the flow of the game much smoother. And also, it just raises the overall morale and the confidence within the offensive group. I'm glad we have him on our team. Obviously, he's played a huge role in our success this year, and hopefully, he can keep it going.
Justin Williams, go ahead.
James, not to age you, but just being an older player and so far from home, what has this season been like? When was the last time you were able to go home and, being that far away from family, how have you navigated this year and all its challenges?
This year's definitely sort of been a challenge. So I haven't been home for probably 18 months now, pretty close to 2 years. But yeah, it was definitely like a bit of an eye-opening thing this year. Like, this isn't how anyone would have envisioned their senior year going, and definitely not how my parents would have envisioned it. They were hoping to get over here, see a few games, be here for senior night and all that sort of thing. But it was all put on hold due to sort of the COVID-19 pandemic. But to be fair, like, all the support that I've had from my parents, like, they understand, like, look, this is, unfortunately, we can't be there, but you've got your family there that's going to be able to support you. Like, and I'm lucky that I've made great connections with other guys on the team and their families. So I've been getting looked after quite well this year, even though that, like, my family can't come. I've got my extended family here at UC that's been looking after me and doing things like that. So it hasn't really been any different, but it's always nice to see your family. So there's been a lot of FaceTime and phone calls with them, like, each week, a few times, just to see how everything's going. And yeah, but other than that, it's been basically just back to work. We know what we're trying to achieve. So it's been the driving force to keep us sort of going.
Mark Weiser, go ahead with your question.
Michael, I'm curious about what you think the offense's chances are to make enough plays to win, given their defense has been playing better down the stretch, but against Florida and Alabama, they obviously were able to make explosive plays against Georgia.
I think the confidence level in the offensive group is high. I just think for us, we have to go in there and just execute. I think that's the name of the game, regardless whether you're playing someone like Georgia or you're playing a low-tier school. The name of the game is to go out there and execute. So I think if we execute our game plan and do what we're supposed to do, I think we have a good chance. And I think that will go for anybody, who plays against a team that has a really good defense. Or whoever. I think that's the main goal. I think that's the focus of the team, is just go out there and put our best foot forward and execute the plays to the best of our ability. As long as we do that and don't shoot ourselves in the foot, I think we have a pretty good chance.
Chad Brindle, go ahead.
Michael, you've been through a week preparing for Georgia at Notre Dame. Does that give you maybe a little bit of an advantage, having studied them before and looked into how they play and what they're capable of?
Yeah. So this will be my third time playing these guys. I played them my freshman year at Notre Dame. And then last year, I got to prepare, but I was out injured. That was a game before I came back. So, third time seeing these guys. A lot of familiar faces. But I wouldn't necessarily say it gives me an advantage. I just know, the looks. I just know the players. I just know kind of their techniques and, things of that nature. But they do their study just like we do ours. Players change year in and year out, game in, game out. So, it doesn't necessarily give me an advantage because you never know what you're going to get.
Justin Williams, go ahead.
James, Cole better than most people. We talked to him after the title game, and even after that big kick, he was pretty steely and reserved. What is he like normally, and what was he like, maybe not with the media in the moment after that kick went through?
Yeah, he's probably definitely not as steely, like, just around the boys or with the specialist group, as he probably can be with the media. He's pretty reserved when he talks to people about his accolades or his success. And I don't know, I'm sure he probably told you, like, before we lined up for the kick, like I just said a couple of words to him just to get him in the right mindset, and I knew he was going to knock it home from the get-go. He's one of those people that's just with some of the adversities and things that he's gone through since he's been here, has just risen and risen and risen, and I've got full faith that he's able to do whatever is put in front of him. And yeah, it's just it was like, yeah, I was happy for the win, but like it's pretty happy to see one of your best mates just knock one through, and that's the game winner, and that's how you win a conference championship. Like that's something I'm going to remember for the rest of my life, sort of thing.
What did you say to him? He didn't tell us.
Well, so we were lining up for the kick, and I sort of said, I just went and whispered in his ear. I said, "We're built for this. Cincinnati Bearcats were built different." So, and then he just went back and slotted her straight through the middle. So, I'll take as much credit for it as I can.
Chad Brundle, go ahead.
James, take me back to Higher Ground 2019. Pat McAfee shows up, and it seemed like it was, they were doing their video stuff and having some fun with it. But how important was it? He spent like an hour with you guys, and I know he's somebody you look up to, having the career that he's had after football. But take me through that time he spent with you guys and what it meant to have a guy that, an all-pro NFL guy, spend that much time with you.
It was definitely something that I've cherished and remembered a lot of the things like I just spoke about with him. So it's not very often that you get to speak to like a Pro Bowl NFL player, especially one that's a punter and like in your niche position. So I made pretty certain that I was going to pick his brain on whatever I wanted to talk to him about in regard to punting. So I asked him a bunch of questions, and he was more than happy to answer and sort of help me out and give me a few pointers about some certain things about like punting and like how I need to do and what I need to improve if like my aspirations are to play at the next level. And that's sort of like, you can't stress how important that sort of thing is. And just to have someone that is a Pro Bowl punter look at you and think that you're pretty good is always a nice thing too.
Have you been able to keep in touch with him at all since then, or was that pretty much it for now?
There's been a couple of messages exchanged back and forth just on Twitter here and there, and after the first game we played against UCLA, of course. But nah, he's a busy man, does a lot of commentating and things these days. But it's also lucky that we've got so many Pro Kick Australia guys that are in the NFL as well that are playing really well. So if I ever need some help or advice, I'll just message one of them, and they're more than happy to get back to me.
Guys, that's about all the time we have. I want to thank you for joining us this morning. These recordings will be available from the Peach Bowl later today. If anyone has any questions, either reach out to myself or Matt Garvey. And remember, the Georgia press conferences start at 10 a.m. Eastern today.